Have you guys ever heard of this thing called a wife? I just found out about these, and my first impression was that you're meant to find one and stick with it until you're a corpse. But apparently folks just quit and try again all the time. Some people even trade them around like Pokemon to see if they can get one with better stats. Hi again, guys. And recently I've seen Cyrus cover old episodes of this show called Wife Swap, where two families who are polar opposites in a variety of ways do exactly what you think they do. Swap wives, no shit. I wish they'd do a version where a husband swaps places with a wife, so it's just two dudes in a house having to raise some kids. I feel like a few extra holes in a wall would get made. That way entertainment value goes up. Ideally it would just mean more burgers grilled, but you know what I mean. We're gonna hop into all that in a minute, but first, my new song and first music video, Cracker, comes out this Friday on March 25th. You can pre-save it on Spotify at the first link in the description. The music video is genuinely looking cool as hell and will be on my music channel at the same time. That's also linked in the description. I know you guys are getting sick of these plugs, but I appreciate you putting up with them. Here's a snippet of the song if you're willing to give it a listen.
I'm a young hoodie chillin' on a coat hanger. When we fucking I'm getting used like a scabbard. Lights on my computer look like crystal cavern. With the period interior that blood splattered.
Also, if you enjoy this video, there will be this big card at the end that you can click or tap to take you to another one like it. It would mean a lot if you do. I would be so excited if you clicked that button. I will say these episodes are long as hell, literally feature length. You could run film trailers before them. So we're not gonna see the whole thing. Instead, we're gonna jump around to the important parts, aka what I think is funny.
Mom's mind is in a galaxy far, far away.
I love computer games. It's a religious type of thing.
Hold on to the fact that she called how she feels about Star Wars religious because, like, same. But also the showrunners took that religion metaphor and found someone who means it very literally.
Religious type of thing.
Get your Bibles.
The other mom's grounded in faith and family.
We believe everything we have is a gift from God.
I mean, if you think about it, what's so different about God and the Force? As far as I can tell, nothing. They both even give superpowers to a very select and seemingly random group of people.
Church is important to us.
Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved.
We are literal Bible-believing Christians.
It's like I said, I think if the Christian wife were to read into the Star Wars lore, she'd find there's a lot of common ground between it and Christianity. Right down to the argument over how literal the things in it are meant to be taken. I think they've even had a similar amount of retcons.
I've played Star Wars Galaxies since 2 days after launch. It's an online role-playing game. It's based in the Star Wars universe. You can live out a fantasy in the game.
She is literally just like me. I have sunk so many hours into Star Wars The Old Republic because I like to pretend to have space magic. I've spent so much money on cool-looking lightsabers so I can pretend to be dripped out. I have terrible taste. I'm not even kidding. The amount of money you'd usually spend on a high-end, real-life replica lightsaber, I've spent on Pixel ones. And I act like I'm any better than people who buy NFTs.
This is Emma. This is Evan. This is Sean.
Hello. Nice to meet you. Hello. I also have a daughter named Emma.
Both of the kids look very different, actually, than teenagers where I live.
So here we are.
She walked into the house, saw those kids, and thought they described these creatures in the Bible. They really just threw her at some early 2000s emo kids and told her, figure that shit out. It's part of what makes me think this show has to have really good incentives for those who participate, because how would you otherwise convince anybody to come on if you weren't giving them at least a few $1,000s? I mean, you're making her spend time away from a family that she very clearly cares about a lot.
Listen, I know what we do with this. I remember that she has a gun. But it's a trash. Mimi.
It was frightening. It's gonna be brutal.
She looks like she just left a police interrogation. She's heading to prison for child neglect for taking better care of her Star Wars MMO character than her real-life children. If you asked her who her baby was, she might have to think about it for a second to make sure she says the socially acceptable answer.
I don't know. We get to choose what we get to do today. You know, this is a fun week, so it's like unrestrained.
I would like to get to know the kids, but I don't know anything, again, about teenagers. I would like to see Evan's face.
Do you think they got stun-locked on the couch for a few hours, just caught in a circle of awkward eye contact? It's been so long since they've actually interacted with the maternal figure that they have no idea how to break the loop, so they just sit there the entire day.
Morning.
Wow, y'all are all ready already.
So now I'm Jump right off of it. He's afraid. Whoa.
You know, you could see it in her eyes. The kid was threatening to jump over the banister. A small part of her was like, all right then, go on. All of us are good people until we get woken up earlier than we want to. That's when you see the true evil humanity is capable of. All of the most vile acts in history were probably done because an authoritarian dictator didn't get their morning coffee before work. I'm sure Mussolini would have loved Starbucks.
First morning I woke up and I was thinking what Judy's role is and how I can maybe step into that.
A day on the computer. So, feel free to do that.
All right.
I'm going to work.
My first day here, Doug and the kids had to go to school and work. And I realized I was going to be on my own.
Can you imagine if in the sheer boredom of being alone around the house and having nothing to do all day, she just says fuck it and hops on the game? She finds out that she actually enjoys it, slowly morphs into an identical copy of the kid's actual mom, and grinds the game just as often as her. It gets to the point they just forget they ever went on wife swap, because it's like nothing changed.
What? 68 hours? At home, I would jump on the PC and play video games.
I really feel like Judy should be treating the game like weed. You need tolerance breaks. This is a perfect time. You're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere right now with no good internet access. She didn't know what kind of hardware the place she was going to is running, so you might as well take this as an opportunity to detox from the game. That way when you get back to it, that shit is smacking you twice as hard. That's how it was for me in middle school when I had to be away from the Xbox for a while. I'm thousands of hours into this shit, so I know it works.
We don't sit down at the table and have dinner together very often. So I'm really looking forward to doing things a little bit different than what we're used to. Right, you remember that? We sit at the table and just find something to laugh about and laugh hysterically. That was fun.
Oh my fucking god, that hurts so much to watch happen. The dad is on the verge of tears. Star Wars has supplanted him in his marriage. He's essentially a single father, except the person who'd be his divorced or deceased partner is still just stalking around the house like a ghost. The kid's going into an emo phase makes complete sense to me now.
How come they make the end bigger if you just gotta pull it out?
So it doesn't fall out when you first have it done?
What?
My nose thingy.
Can I pull it up a little?
You can pull it up a little bit, yeah. Just
Pull it out.
I'm not pulling it out. How much are you gonna pay me to pull it out?
$1.
That's not enough.
2.
No.
3. Why?
It hurts. I will admit the kids are very cute. They make me laugh.
She's experiencing what it's like to interact with a human being for the first time in a decade. I gotta admit, I've had to relearn that lesson several times in my youth. There were certain weeks where I'd fall down a Skyrim modding rabbit hole and emerge a week later needing to go through a character arc of recovery.
I'd like to share with you a video that is a profile of our younger days, because I think it's a snapshot of the kind of things that we used to do together.
The old bugle fingernails.
That's too much.
From what I've learned, Doug is deeply, deeply troubled. I think the family could possibly be in jeopardy.
Man, that hopeful music in the background is doing its best to make you go all, think of the good times, man. Weren't those just great? But the mom's tone in the interview is like she's giving a cancer diagnosis. I think the family could be in jeopardy. It may be time for Doug to consider talking to a divorce lawyer. It's just so grave. The writing is on the wall to her, and everyone else is just clinging on.
I'd like to do is follow up with a story I wrote.
Wait, she wrote it herself? She's treating this shit like a D&D campaign. She wrote supplemental lore for this little wipe swap side quest she's doing. She takes that nerd shit seriously.
It makes me feel uncomfortable to have Judy read something to the children that I hadn't read prior.
What are you gonna read us?
A little story I wrote.
Typically speaking, that's a sentence I only hear in the context of fanfiction.
Judy?
Yeah.
15 minutes, okay? And lights are out. They're not staying up till 11 o'clock. Read your story. They're gonna go to bed.
Mike, control freak.
He just belted off those instructions like it was standard procedure. Dude's got more contingencies than Batman. Like he's never let unreviewed material be read to his kids before, but he's still got a 5-step protocol in place just for that exact situation. You know, just in case.
Feet. A finer landscape could not exist in all the many kingdoms. I shall build a gleaming palace and entertain my friends.
He's pacing around the living room like a wild animal about to pounce on some prey. He's just expecting the kids to start screaming in fear at any second, and he's got to be ready to jump into action.
Where
Judy,
to start?
got 1 minute.
When Mike came in, I was thinking, if you're gonna give me 15 minutes, then my God, give me 15 minutes.
That dude calculated it down to the millisecond. Also, this is such a minor thing, but why give a 1 minute warning? At that point, they might only be halfway through the story, and there would be no chance of them getting to a satisfying conclusion from there in that little time. At least put that warning at the 5-minute mark, so they have time to resettle into the flow of reading, and Judy can speed up her words per minute if she really needs to. Speaking of time, we're short on it, so let's skip to the part where the wives meet and shit on each other for their character flaws.
Doug is wonderful. Your kids are wonderful. But there is a concern, I think, with the amount of time that you're spending on the computer.
It's so funny to hear that speech being given to the parent in a family when it's usually the kid that has to be yelled to get off the game station. The whole scenario seems like a crappy sitcom idea someone came up with to reverse the roles, but it's actually just taking place in real life.
I think her opinion is skewed. I was addicted to the computer, but that's not anymore.
That comment is funny as hell when the first thing we see her do in the new house is try and download the same game she had been playing. And when it didn't work, she was just absolutely defeated. She was put on this earth to do one thing and one thing alone: game.
Like I said, you have a great family, but they would need more of your time.
That's interesting because that's pretty much the conclusion I came to with being in your house.
I can't hear that one stock screech sound effect without just absolutely pooing myself. I only really hear it in incomprehensible TikTok shitposts these days, and that has really scrambled my brain.
Mike thinks he's putting the kids first, but in fact, he's putting the house first.
We didn't hear a bunch of it, but this woman can actually drop bars. The writing she did for the kids' story she read was some great prose, just absolute heat. And what she just said there, he's not putting the kids first, he's putting the house first?
It was very, very controlled, incredibly controlled, even to the point of attempting to control me.
Yeah, age doesn't sound like the usual Mike, but...
Ah, she did the nervous neck scratch. If JCS was still around, he'd have a whole paragraph about it. But unfortunately, I'm not a certified behavioral analyst, so you'll have to deal with me pointing out the fact that it happened and trying to pass that off as insightful commentary.
I guess my biggest concern is that you know, you've created this beautiful environment for the kids. Unfortunately, it is not the real world.
Okay, slow down. I get that you think the husband is a bit of a control freak, but surely the kids not being in the real world for now is alright, because they're fucking kids. Like, maybe it'll be a problem later, but they're all like 7. Are you telling me they should go do some hard labor jobs?
I didn't quite understand where Judy was coming from when she said that our family doesn't live in the real world. And as far as it being out of touch with reality, she's in touch with computer games, you know.
She said, then what about you, bitch, huh? Fucking hypocrite. I imagine these things always start as attempted earnest criticism and advice to help one another, but then it just boils down to the equivalent of, that's why your mama dead as hell. And then it goes back and forth when neither of them takes what the other's saying well. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. Remember, Cracker comes out March 25th, link in the description. If you guys want to see more wife swap, there are so many episodes of this damn show, so I definitely could do more. That card I mentioned should be on screen now. Drop a like and subscribe with notifications on, and get out of here.